Good day to you, my dear students. Once again, I'm Sean Xavier Alcalita. I will tackle now about the subtopic for chapter 5, which is the Goodwill and Categorical Imperative of Immanuel Kant. So before we proceed, please don't forget to like and subscribe to my YouTube page. Okay, so let's proceed now. So Kant lays out the case for his moral theory in the groundwork for the Metaphysics of Morals, which is written in 1785. The next one is the Critique of Practical Reason, also known as the Second Critique, which was written in 1788. And the Metaphysics of Morals, which was written in the year 1797. His arguments from the groundwork are his most well-known and influential, so the following focuses primarily on them. Kant begins his argument from the premise that a moral theory must be grounded in an account of what is unconditionally good. So do the right thing because it is the right thing to do. Kant's analysis of the common sense ideas begins with the thought that the only thing good without qualification is a goodwill. While the phrases, he is good-hearted, she is good-natured, and she means well are common, the goodwill, as Kant thinks of it, is not the same as any of these ordinary notions. The idea of a goodwill is closer to the idea of a good person, or more archaically, a person of goodwill. This use of the term will early on in the analyzing moral thought prefigures later and more technical discussions concerning the nature of irrational agency. Nevertheless, this idea of goodwill is an important common sense touchstone to which Kant returns throughout his works. The basic idea, as Kant described it in the groundwork of Metaphysics of Morals, is that what makes a good person good is his possession of a will, and that is in a certain way determined by or makes its decisions on the basis of the moral law. So, the idea of a goodwill is supposed to be the idea of one who is committed only to make decisions that she holds to be morally worthy and who takes moral considerations in themselves to be conclusive reasons for guiding her behavior. That is why, as Kant says, do the right thing because that is the right thing to do. Okay, so if a goodwill is one that performs its intentions on the basis of correct principles of action, then we want to know what sort of principles these are. A principle that commands an action is called an imperative. Most imperatives are hypothetical imperatives, that is, they're the commands that hold only if and only if certain conditions are met. For instance, if you want to graduate summa cum laude, then you must study your lessons. Since hypothetical imperatives are conditioned on desires and the intended consequences of actions, they cannot serve as the principles that determine the intentions and volitions of an unconditionally good will. This conception of a categorical imperative leads Immanuel Kant to his first official formulation and a component of the categorical imperative itself. Act only in accordance with that maxim, through which you can at the same time will that it should become a universal law. A maxim is a general rule that can be used to determine particular courses of actions in particular circumstances. For instance, the maxim, shall I say, I shall lie when it will get me out of trouble. It can also be used as an excuse or even to determine the decision to lie about an adulterous liaison. The categorical imperative offers a decision procedure for determining whether a given course of action is in accordance with a moral law. Let's example cheating as a universal law. You cheat, she cheats, my neighbor cheats, he cheats, and everybody cheats. Until you are cheated and somebody calls you a cheater. You want to be cheated? Want to be called a cheater? If the answer is no, then cheating has no moral worth in the imperative, since the maxim itself cannot become a universal principle to guide our actions. The second formulation is the principle of humanity. Treat humanity, whether in your own person or in the person of any other, never simply as a means, but always at the same time as an end. Immanuel Kant believes that human beings have inherent value and should never be treated as instruments. In so improperly acting, man reduces himself to a thing, to an instrument, or animal amusement. We are, however, as human beings, not things, but persons. And by turning ourselves into things, we dishonor human nature in our own persons. The third and fourth formulation or components of categorical imperative derive from the first and the second formulations. So the third formulation is the principle of autonomy. So act that your will can regard itself at the same time as making universal law through its maxims. The focus of this formula is the authority that rests within our human will to productively shape the world around us when following reason. As we act, we should consider whether our intended maxims are worthy of our status as shapers of the world. Through the principle of autonomy, since that man is free, and in the use of his freedom, it should be done only in accordance with the goodwill and duty without regard of its consequences, rewards, and even conditions. The fourth formulation is the principle of kingdom of ends. So act as if you were, through your maxims, a law-making member of a kingdom of ends. The point here is that the moral fate of all people hangs together. We saw that Immanuel Kant thinks of human beings as ends in themselves, and so collectively we are a kingdom of ends. Or more simply, a moral community. As I act, I should consider whether my actions contribute to or detract from the moral community. Specifically, I should consider whether the intended maxim of my action could productively function as a universal rule in the moral community. Hence, that we should treat everybody as ends in themselves. In other words, we all have a duty to respect each other and each other's autonomy. So that's all for Immanuel Kant. Thank you very much for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube page for more videos. Thank you.